Have you ever made a decision so fast that your brain didn't have time to overthink it, and then you instantly regretted it? Or maybe you trusted a face on a dating app only to find out too late that they were nothing like their Hinge profile picture? Yeah, turns out your brain has a funny way of playing tricks on you, especially when it comes to making decisions. In fact, according to the book Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman, you can actually blame your brain for making some of those bad decisions. Yes, your brain. Don't worry. In this video, we will be breaking down the two systems in your brain with a little help from a Nobel Prize-winning psychologist, so that you can make better decisions and hopefully avoid some of those pesky regrets. Let's get into it. No. 1. The bias blender. Daniel Kahneman was a psychologist who won the Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences for his research on behavioral economics, which is basically studying how people actually make decisions about money, because it's rarely as rational as we like to think. In his book Thinking Fast and Slow, he talks about how our brain works in two different ways, and this is where things get interesting. First, we got System 1 thinking, which is the fast, instinctive, and emotional part of our brain. It's like the autopilot mode that makes up a huge chunk of our daily decisions. So if you see a snake, run. If you see cake, eat it. No need to overthink it. Then there's System 2 thinking, which is the slow, logical, and lazy part of our brain. It's the part that could do complicated math if it really needed to, but would rather just binge watch Netflix. The problem is that System 1 thinks it's always in charge, even though it's not. And that's where we start making some questionable calls. According to Kahneman, System 1 uses mental shortcuts called heuristics to make decisions quickly. But the thing is, these heuristics are full of bias, meaning they can lead us to make irrational decisions without us even realizing it. For example, in one experiment, Kahneman asked participants whether the population of Turkey is more or less than 50 million. Most people answered more, even if they had no idea what the actual population of Turkey is, which by the way is 85 million. Why? Because they were influenced by the initial number they saw, 50 million, even if they didn't know it was wrong. This is called the anchoring effect. Basically, System 1 grabs onto that first number and uses it as an anchor to make other decisions. And since we don't usually question the first number we see, we end up making decisions based on faulty information. Number 2, the overconfidence trap. Okay, now let's talk about something we've all experienced before, being overconfident. You study for a test, and you re so sure you aced it until you get the results, and boom, you failed. Or maybe you didn't get the job you thought you totally crushed the interview for. And we've all been there, and it turns out this overconfidence trap is one of the many ways our brain plays tricks on us, according to Coleman. Basically, our System 1 brain loves to be overconfident, and it doesn't matter if we re-experts or not. Remember how Coleman said System 1 ignores doubt? Well, that's exactly what happens here. We don't usually question our abilities, even if we're totally wrong. And this isn't just some random finding. Coleman and his colleague, Paul Slovic, conducted several experiments to prove that even experts are often overconfident. For example, in one experiment, they asked expert traders on Wall Street to rate their success rate in a year. Many traders believed they were in the top 10%. But when researchers checked their records, most of them were actually in the bottom half. Ouch. So whether it's trying to park in a crowded parking lot or diagnosing a medical condition, our brain loves to think it's better than it actually is. And that's why sometimes it might feel like your brain is playing tricks on you. 3. Loss aversion. We've all held on to things way too long, whether it's a bad relationship, a stock that's been in the red for months, or that ugly sweater your grandma knitted for you. And it turns out that loss aversion is one of the reasons why. According to Kami, loss aversion is the idea that losing something hurts more than gaining something of equal value feels good. For example, imagine you have $100 in your wallet and you decide to play a game. The game goes like this. If you win, you get an extra $150. But if you lose $100. Now, if you think about it logically, it seems like a pretty good deal. You've got a chance to double your money for risking only $100. But according to Coleman's research, most people would rather just keep their $100 instead of playing the game. Why? Because the pain of losing $100 is more powerful than the pleasure of gaining $150. And that's what loss aversion is all about. This might not seem like a big deal, but it can can lead to some pretty irrational decisions. For example, let's say you bought a stock and it's lost 20 of its value. According to loss aversion, you are more likely to hold on to that stock because the pain of admitting you lost money is more powerful than the pleasure of taking a loss. And that's why sometimes it might feel like your brain is playing tricks on you. So how do we fight back? Well, according to Coleman, the first step is to spot the trick. Basically, our System 1 brain loves to play tricks on us. But if we understand how it works, we can start to spot its tricks. For example, if you were trying to make a decision and you feel like your gut is telling you to do something, take a moment to pause and think about whether that's really true, or if it's just your System 1 brain playing games with you. The second step is to force your System to brain to work. Yeah, I know it sounds like a drag, but it's worth it. When you take a step back and really think about a decision, you're activating your System to brain, which is the logical, rational part of your brain. This might mean taking some time to weigh the pros and cons, or doing some research before making a purchase. But it can also help you avoid some costly mistakes. Finally, laugh at yourself. Yes, I know this isn't exactly a practical tip, but it can be helpful. We're all human, and we're all susceptible to these cognitive biases. Even Daniel Kahneman admits that he's fallen for them before. So don't beat yourself up if you make a mistake. Just learn from it and move on. Want more mind hacks? Hit like and drop a comment about the dumbest gut decision you've ever made. I'll see you next time on Positive Inner Conversation, where we turn psychology into power. Until then, remember, you're not crazy. Your brain is just playing tricks on you. That's not your fault. Just keep learning and growing from it. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.